Jesus Freak here, and this whole show is just getting me in a bit of a panic. My cat's running around the living room. If you hear any scratching or whatever. My friend she explained to my landlord what's my situation, and so that might help things a little bit, but it doesn't completely solve anything. And on top of this, I'm having issues with trying to figure out what's up with my regular phone. I mean, my cell phone is a separate thing from my regular phone, but they send me a disconnection notice saying that I got canceled at the end of March. And I mean, technically, I'm at least still able to receive calls, and I don't place calls from that phone. I place calls from the cell phone so I can put it on speaker. But I'm like, what's going on here? And no one seems to be able to give me a straight answer. And I'm starting to wonder if it has something to do with something that happened back in 2011, where in 2010, the phone company, I had both phone and internet through them at the time, and the internet was business and the phone was residential. And they screwed up the move, so I was without internet for a few weeks. And they did it cancel and resubscribe instead of transferring the service. And when I had to move again a few months later, I got hit with what actually happened is they kept billing they never turned off the internet and kept billing me for it at the old address while I was receiving the phone at the new address. And when I finally figured out what was going on, after another move, I called them to see what was going on, and I was able to have them at least, refund me the cost of the internet, but they still slapped me with an early termination fee as if I had just subscribed back in 2010. When in fact, I had been on that level of service since 2006. Maybe 2005. I can't remember. So they charged me the fee, but they refunded the internet service charges. And eventually, they sent the fee to collection. I paid it that way. And I would have thought, that was that. That's a termination. I don't know if that's what's going on or not. But I called him a couple days ago and said, what's going on here? And I got a cancellation notice, and I neither canceled myself nor was given any prior notice that they would be canceling, nor did they ever say, nor did I get any notice saying that they were transferring my account to some other provider or anything. So I don't know what's going on here. And I don't handle unfamiliar situations or situations that, fall out of the norm, so to speak. I don't handle this very well. So I'm like, I just want to figure out what's going on. If I at least knew what's going on, I could try to do something about it. But I don't know what's going on. And I'm freaking out here. And I got the questions coming up about, what's going to happen with me here or whatever. And I'm just trying to maintain a level of sanity here. But I don't know what's going on. And I can't handle when I don't know what's going on. I mean, this is hard enough if you're not autistic. But I'm basically trying to keep myself from having a panic attack. And I'm trying to maintain control on the phone, and I'm like, I just want to figure out what's going on here, and I'm trying to be as, collected as I can. I don't want to lose my edge. Well, I don't want to lose my grip while I'm talking on the phone, but it's this whole crap show. And they're like, we're trying to reach the next tier up and see if they can figure out what's going on. And, their office is closed while I was talking to you, she's like. And I'm like, well, she says, the best we can do is have them call you back on your other phone in 2 days. And of course, I'm still freaking out here now. They said, they're going to call me this afternoon. And I'm just trying to keep myself from losing my edge. I'm barely holding on as it is. It's not always obvious, but I'm barely holding on to my sanity. For the most part, I've lived completely alone since, for 18 years. At most, I'd have someone check up on me periodically, like, when I lived down on the other side of Pine Avenue, I had, my landlord at the time was my previous foster mother, and she'd check up on me. But I've had times, no one really checks up on me. And I don't really talk to anyone. So between the chat rooms I have, I go once a week, I see a therapist. And between, talking to Pastor Brett, and between, going to church on Sunday, I have nothing. I've been mostly disconnected from anyone that I've had in my life. I guess since I dropped out of college in 2000, since I was estranged from my family in 1992, and I live, halfway across the state from them. And I mean, it might not necessarily seem like I'm barely hanging on, but I've been barely hanging on for years. And there's really not much left in keeping me any sort of sane. And I've had people saying, why don't you go on this for that? This is. I'm like, what are you gonna put me on meds for? They don't work. We've tried that. We tried that years ago. At best, they do nothing. Which I'm probably, I suspect, my brain is wired so completely different from most people that these things, it's like, I guess these meds are like, someone who's trying to work on a PC and suddenly finds a Spark station running Solaris and has no idea what they're doing. I think that's basically how psychiatric drugs tend to work on me. And basically, I don't want to deal with that. I'm trying to solve my own situation, but there's only so much one person who really doesn't know how to deal with this stuff and only has a little bit of help from anyone at the most can do. I'm trying. I gotta admit, it's it has to have been God that got me this far, or I'd absolutely be in a worse state than I already am. Admittedly, the saying, I'm in damn good shape for the shape I'm in. And I'll admit that. I'm doing better than could ever be expected. My family expected I'd never be able to survive on my own. And I've done so for 18 years. It's hard. I'm having a hell of a time with it. If it weren't for this and that, I'd have lost my grip years ago. I'd say I'm fortunate to be doing as well as I am. Jesus, freak out.